Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about perfecting the kettlebell swing. Our two versions of the swing, commonly known as the American version and the Russian version, or to halfway and above your head. The small little things we can do to protect ourselves and take care of our back, and how we can make this into the most efficient workout for our glutes as possible. Okay, so let me go through our two versions of the swing, one being the Russian, which is the standard to here, and the American version, which is head right through, and why you would do each one. So the Russian version is just going with the kettlebell to about head height, like so. The advantage of this is that it allows you to lift a heavier weight normally, and also get through more reps in the same period of time, as you're only doing half the range of motion. The American version is going all the way above your head, like so, which has the benefit of being able to produce more force to drive the kettlebell up higher, and also creating core and shoulder stabilization at the top of the movement. Neither exercise is better than the other. It just depends on what equipment you've got available to you at the time and what your goal of the exercise is. From the side, I'll be standing here and you'll be able to see some of the keys to the kettlebell swing, in that all the work is going to come from the glutes and very little from the lower back. A lot of people look at this exercise and it appears to be a lower back exercise. What we want to do is we want to maintain our core alignment as much as possible. So you can see if I hold my shirt tight here, I've got a little curve here in my lower back. As I go down, I'm going to maintain that little curve in my lower back. And to do that, I'm tilting my hips and sticking my butt out like so, which means that all the pressure is going back here onto my butt and not rounding over my lower back. So what we want to make sure we do is when we do the kettlebell swing, we keep our chest up, looking out in front, not looking down at the floor. Second thing we want to make sure we do is keep the kettlebell in as tight to our body as we possibly can. So as it comes through our legs, we've got it nice and tight here and not down there. There shouldn't be a gap between your hand and the kettlebell. If there is, you'll find that your lower back will compensate and start to round over. Whereas we're going to be in this position here with your chest up as tall as you possibly can. Next thing we want to be able to do is then drive our hips as far forward as we possibly can, blocking out this hip joint. So from the side, you'll see that I'm back here, and I'm driving my hips forward like that, not pushing my knees back like that. So even though you still end up roughly in the same position with your hips all the way forward and your knees locked out, you want to be using your hips to drive forward, not your knees to be pulling back. Once again, this is a correct method. This is the incorrect method. Like that. You'll notice here my butt is still kind of hanging out a little bit, and because I've got a kettlebell out here, all the pressure is going to be going on my lower back. So let's start doing it with the kettlebell now, and you can see how the reps are done and how the hips drive everything forward. What you'll notice is that your arms are basically an extension of your hips. They stay tucked in until your hips push them out. Only then do your arms come out. What we want to avoid is having too much gap between your hands and your hips when the kettlebells are down here. So if the kettlebell is down here, what we want to avoid is having your butt tucked out already, e.g. like this, which will end up resulting in that gap here. And number two is lifting your hands early before your butt has come all the way through. So that would look something like the following. And see how there I end up leaning back quite a bit, putting a lot of pressure on my lower back. This is one of the reasons people get a sore lower back after kettlebell swings. Remember, keep everything tight here. Don't let the kettlebell go too low. Drive your hips forward. Tight into your body, hips back, hips forward. Hips back, hips forward. And then if you're going above your head, it's the same thing. There are a few tips for us today for the kettlebell swing. So remember, number one, keep it nice and tight to your body. Don't let it go too low. Number two, chest up. hips do all the work, your lower back stays perfectly straight. And number 3, drive your hips forward and release your hands. Don't let your hands come out first while your butt's still hanging out. If you can focus on those 3 things, keeping your elbows straight, of course, at the top, you'll keep the kettlebell swing as a really efficient exercise for your glutes, take all the pressure off your lower back.